Hey everyone, how you doing? Welcome back to another episode of McCall Media TV Live, whereby in today's episode I'm going to actually be diving deep back into a sort of behind the scenes look of my YouTube analytics and a bit of a review of how I have been doing for what is essentially 4 months worth of effort. And yeah, it's been an interesting journey, and so far YouTube has opened up lots and lots of doors and opportunity for me, but just not in YouTube's environment, which is really bizarre. Anyway, I just thought I would dive on real quick. We're going to go deep into my analytics and all sorts today. And yeah, that's kind of where we're at. So don't forget, I am going live across all of my different social media platforms. You can follow, where's my little handle thing? Whoop, it's up there. Everything's back to front. At McCall Media TV in order to find me on your preferred social media network. Okay, so while we get ready with regards to going deep into my YouTube account, I'm just bringing that back up on my screen now for you. We basically I'm going to just quickly summarize like the problem that's been taking place. So if you think video marketing is pretty much the way to go at the moment on the internet, I mean, you can bring yourself across in personality and explain so much more and show much more than would ever be possible by writing. And for some people that works really well. For others, it's something that they're not so comfortable with doing. So as you can see here, let me just wait 1 second. I'll bring that up in a second. We're going to be diving deep into my YouTube analytics. Now, when I first started this journey, naively, shall we say, I had this big idea that with my 25-ish years of experience in digital marketing and social marketing and all these other bits and pieces, I would be able to conquer the YouTube platform. Little did I know at that time, back in January, February, when I was doing all this planning and preparation, that this thing called COVID-19 is going to come along and change the entire world and have a kind of apocalyptic effect on everything. So things have been a little bit different to what I have planned. And yes, running a YouTube channel, launching a business with kids at home 24/7 has been quite the challenge. But we're basically going to dive in and basically explore what statistics and analytics and metrics you need to know in your YouTube environment so that you don't have the 4 months learning curve that I have been on at the moment. So it's all about knowing what metrics really do matter and which ones you need to keep an eye on. Okay, so let me just get my YouTube channel up and ready to go. Okay, so I'm just going to share my screen back with you. Okie dokie. So if you can see on screen, first of all, I am in my dashboard area of the YouTube studio. And the first thing that we're going to look at is the number of impressions. Now, the impressions are basically the number of times that your video thumbnail image or your video itself has been presented to the wider public on YouTube. So it's the number of impressions or number of times that image of your videos has been presented. Now, we're going to just quickly change the screen here, and we are going to go here where it says impressions. Now, I'm just going to change this to the last 90 days because we're obviously doing a 4-month review, and I want to show you how we're getting on. Everything's got a bit of a delay this morning, so bear with me just a second. 90 days. Right, there we go. Okay. There we go, that's more better. So what we've got going on here is basically the impressions of my YouTube channel and all the various different videos and how they have been presented by YouTube to the public on the YouTube environment, shall we say. So as you can see, when I started off, pretty much nothing was happening. It was looking like I was getting about 8 impressions a day, which is absolutely nothing. And then you've got this little peak, which was nice because this little peak was due to a couple of videos that I had go out that kind of got picked up by YouTube, which was quite nice. And it does show the power of what happens when YouTube comes on board. But as you can see, as I've grown my content, it's obviously gone up and down with every video that's been released. And obviously some videos are more popular than others. But as the video have been published. As you can see, there was 2 that week, 2 that week, 2 that week, and so on. You can see that my actual growth of impressions is also growing. Now, it's got a little bit more of a dip here. This is because I actually finished my part-time job. And like I said to you a minute ago at the beginning of this video, although YouTube itself isn't necessarily doing exactly what I want it to do, the doors of opportunity it's opened for me privately within my business has been fantastic. And it's actually allowed me to go full-time about a year earlier than I was planning to, purely because of the opportunities that have come knocking with people seeing some of my videos, liking what I do, liking my passion, and so forth. So don't just think this is all about YouTube and it's got to be, you've got to conquer it to be able to make this work for you. There is a really good guide, and I can't remember where I've seen it, but it's about the fact that you just need 1,000 really good quality customers in your fan base, as it were, whether it's in your email list and whatnot. And although, as you can see, my channel is still really young, the people that I've got following and engaging with me are quality subscribers and fans, which to me is more important than the numbers. So this is just a quick insight there into the knowing what numbers or impressions are taking place. Now, I've just seen, oh, there's my little fan. Good morning, Sonia. Thank you very much for supporting me once more. It's always nice to have these little comments. So point number 2 that we need to think about is your click-through rate, which is actually the next tally little marker coming over on the right hand side. There you go. YouTube's a little bit slow with me this morning while I'm streaming, so you do have to bear with me, but as you can see, it's still focused on 90 days here. Now, when we have a look back, so this is impressions with click-through rates. Now, what you've got to understand is the power of your click-through rate. Now, when people are making a decision, they look at 2 factors as to whether they're going to look at your video. They're going to look at your thumbnail image, which is generally the sort of poster, as it were, to advertise your video, and how attractive that is by which to grab their attention and make their eyes focus on that thumbnail image. And once they have spotted the thumbnail image and they're like, oh, okay, this looks kind of interesting, all in those like microseconds, the next thing that they do is they look at the title of your video. Is it worth my time and attention to go and explore this video content in more depth, as it were? So if that decision mentally in someone's mind turns out to be yes, they will click on that video or the title and go through, and that is your click-through rate. That's how it basically is created. Now, depending on which guru out there that you decide to follow, I have basically picked up on 3 different gurus telling me 3 different sets of stats as to aim for with your click-through rate. So there is Nick Nimmin, who is a bit of a YouTube sort of advisor and pro. So I'm going to give a shout out to him because he also answered one of my questions on Twitter this week, because he's just a lovely guy. And if you watch some of his videos, I'm pretty sure he has said that as a general average across the YouTube network, a click-through rate of between 2% and 10% is a good place to be. Now, as you can see on screen right now, my click-through rate is floating at 5.3%. And I'm going to explain a little bit more about my stat in just a second. The other person that I follow quite a lot with regards to behind the scenes click-through rates and giving some stats and things is Sunny, and I can never say her name. I want to say Lorenzo, but I don't think that's quite right. But I will put a link below because it's a beautiful name. I just can't pronounce it. But she often explains a lot of the analytics and stats and things that you need to look at as well. And one of the videos that she has done, I'm sure I've picked up on the fact that in her video, she says that for her channel, now she's got millions or hundreds of thousands of fans, so it's probably more of a diluted response compared to mine, which is small and concentrated at the moment. But in her world, she says that anything between about 2 and 6%, if I remember rightly, is a good place to be. And again, I'm floating around at the 5% mark. Now, the other person I want to mention is a younger lady called Anna Doobie, I think her name is. She's been around now for about the last 6 months. She's literally blown up her channel in less than a year, which is really fabulous. She's a young girl in America or Canada. Canada, actually, I think she is. And she, in one of her recent videos, said that actually you need to be aiming for about 10 to 20%. Now, I don't think that's quite kosher. I have been looking at my stats. Now, I've also spoken to some of my clients that I've taken on now that are endorsing or adopting the YouTuber vibe, and some of them are floating at about 8 and 12%, but it's all depending on their subject matter. Like, one of them is an accountant at the moment, for example. She's been doing a lot of videos on the whole COVID-19 and how the UK government are funding small businesses. So hers is a really trending viral type topic at the moment, so she's getting a lot more traction because she's surfing that kind of sort of consumer demand at the moment in what's going on in the world. So obviously things like this will change, which is why you need to dive into your stats and analytics quite regularly. Now, for me, over the last 90 days, it says I've gone up by sort of 15% on average, which is nice. But in all the time I've been looking at this little stat, I've never dropped below 5%, which is kind of, for me now, my baseline target in everything that I am trying to achieve and do. And that is basically saying that out of all of my visitors to my channel, 5.3% of them are clicking through and viewing my content. Now, I really don't know. It's, I think 4 months in is too early to actually see if this is a good thing or a bad thing just now. But at the moment, for me, I can only compare myself to myself, as it were, because I don't really have the same volumes of audiences as all these big channels. So I'm going to say to you guys, use me if you want as a new YouTuber who is in the business to business kind of a market. And so therefore my client audience base is going to be small businesses, and use mine as a benchmark to see how you're doing. Hopefully you're doing better. I don't think I'm doing too bad, but I think there's plenty of room for improvement. So point number 3, okay, is your video retention. Now, again, this is one of those things. Let me just come down here somewhere. Where is it? Somewhere it does show me my video retention. I might just have to find it for 1 second because I can't remember while I'm live. This is the only problem about doing everything live. You've just got to think right off the top of things. Video retention. I've lost you completely. Let me go in to see more views. Basically is how long somebody stays, or as an average, the visitors to your channel, how on average they stay sort of looking at your content. So for example, and I'm pretty sure, I'm just trying to remember where I got the 40% stat from as a target audience. I think it was from Sunny again. Now, for her, I think she said in one of the videos that I've watched on her channel that basically you need to keep people on your video for at least 40% of the video's length. So first of all, quick mention on time of your videos. YouTube likes engagement and watch time and quality and things like that. So if you was to have a 2-minute video and somebody watched the whole of that, that's 100%. That's great. But you are only essentially clocking up 2 minutes of watch time hours, which, you know, is fantastic for the stat being, yeah, 40% or 100% in that case. But actually you as a channel doesn't actually have a lot of engagement because somebody's only on your channel for 2 minutes. And unless your content is absolutely amazing, they'll be gone, okay, which isn't actually doing you huge amounts of favors. So everything that I have seen, learned and understood so far means that you need to aim for a video that needs to be at minimum 10 minutes long. And from an advertising perspective, the reason that you also want to do that is because once your video is over 10 minutes long, they will YouTube will permit you to place adverts at the beginning, middle and end, whereby if it's less than 10 minutes, it can only go at the beginning and end. So if you are planning on monetizing your channel eventually and you want to be able to sort of gain traction with advertisers and sponsorship and all that kind of jazz, as it were, then you really need to think about your video content being over 10 minutes as well. And of course, with that engagement strategy, if somebody was then to watch 100% of your video, which would be fabulous, then what you've got there is obviously 10 or 11 or 12 minutes worth of time clocked up, and that engagement is more powerful than a 2-minute, even though both of them would be 100%. So I kind of hope that explains the engagement process a little bit for you. Just give me 2 seconds while I literally fiddle around with my stats. YouTube is going really slowly for me while I'm trying to talk to you guys. So just bear with me just 1 second, because while I'm streaming, I think everything's just slowed down. I can't, I should have made a note on where I should have looked at it. So there's so many stats as you could, let me just flick my screen back around and show you. There are so many stats going on that it's actually sometimes a bit of a minefield on where to find what. But when you have a chance, dig deep into your analytics. Obviously, go and look at your video retention. There is actually a stat somewhere that says retention and it will give you a percentage. Now, I will be honest here and say if I could have shown it to you, because I can't remember where it is, I would have done, but mine is floating at around about 10%, which I have a theory on, and part of that is because of the fact that I actually endorse the use of chapters and timestamps. Now, let me just really quickly come out of here and just show you why that is. Now, I have done a previous video, which I'll post a card to somewhere on screen right now. So if you're watching this in a replay, you'll be able to click and go through and watch on that. But as I said to you, YouTube has been opening up many doors for my business. And one of those is because of the content I've been delivering and people finding my passion, my personality, the information I'm giving and all that kind of stuff. So when it's, with regards to the retention time, the reason I think mine is quite low, let me go back down to one of these that I know I've done, is because I am adopting something here called video chapters, and that's because I'm also working not just to play the algorithm because I want to conquer YouTube. I'm actually playing with my videos because I want to gain clients, and I want to gain business leads and qualify my leads and that kind of thing. And therefore, one of the things that I want to do in my videos, you may choose not to, is basically help my audience find content and information and answers really quickly, because at the end of the day, that's what YouTube was originally about, is providing videos that help people, and obviously then it's been monetized and so forth. So I always put on my videos these little timestamps. So if you think of like a DVD and you would have jumped to different chapters in that DVD, what basically happens, let me just mute this before she starts playing, is down here you've got these chapters, and it just means that you can click on these and jump to that specific section in the video. So this is a lady talking about VAT and how that works with a small business, giving an example, a diagram. So there's some positives and negatives, and so you could just jump through, and therefore people are only watching tiny amounts of my videos. But I would rather this and have a slower growth rate at the moment, because it's building my client base and my leads into my business. And so you have to have this fine line. Do you, depending on your topic and genre, go hell for leather after the video audience or the YouTube audience, which is great, at which point I would endorse you not to use timestamps, because that forces your viewers to watch more of your video content, clocking up more of your watch time? Or do you support your actual audience, which is what I'm doing, and provide it an easier way for them to get to the content? So again, that's just something that you need to bear in mind, and an option that you can consider there. So let me just see, I've seen a few more comments come in. Sonia, I was like my #1 fan. Thank you, Sonia. She says congratulations, and obviously it was about something I mentioned a couple of minutes ago. Just keep pushing, or just keep swimming, as Dory would say. Very good information, thank you. And it's great to know that the best length of time, right, roughly 10 minutes. Yeah, good stuff. So you're watching now, I should imagine. Thank you very much. Right, let's move on. So where's my little banners gone? So the next thing that you need to think about is the number of views on your videos. So let me just come out of my let me just go back to my YouTube studio, because I'm in the wrong page now, having showed you the chapters. So give me just a second while YouTube catches up with me. There we go. So we're just going back into my YouTube studio, and we're going to look at the number of views. So over here, I'm going to go to my channels analytics. That's just one other little quick tip for you. Make sure when you're doing this, what I'm talking about today is my channel as an entire entity, whereby you can actually get the specific analytics for a video's performance. So just make sure you're in the right part of your YouTube environment in order to be able to know what's going on. So I'm just going to change this back to the last 90 days so you can see what's going on. Right. Okay, so as you can see here, my views. Now, the reason that you want to keep one eye on your views, obviously this is a nice metric to know that, people are engaging with your content. But the reason that you also want to keep an eye on it, more probably on a video level, is that you want to play off the views that are happening versus the impressions versus subscribers, watch times and click-throughs. Because when you're looking at it on a video by video basis, what you're doing is actually looking at the demand of that topic and how well that particular video is performing to all the others on your channel, and therefore you'll know if it's kind of like a breakaway video that actually is in demand, at which point you can double up on that content and do a complementary video to help sort of ride that wave of enthusiasm, as it were, that is gaining traction on your channel with viewers and watch time. Obviously, as a channel, on a channel basis, you want to keep an eye on your views as well, because this is where it is at the moment, because it also shows you here as a channel how your particular different videos are performing, and it's all color coded. So you can see here that I had a nice little peek on the orange one, which was my original channel trailer. The purple one there was my WordPress. Now this was the breakaway video that basically YouTube picked up and supported back in the very first few weeks of me putting a bit of an effort into my channel. Then I've got some other little peaks going on. This one is my LED lights that I'm actually using right now to light me up, and all sorts. So this one here, this is a StreamYard video. This is quite good, and so forth. So you kind of like to keep an idea on what's going on. And as you can see, the more colors that are getting involved, the more my channel is getting busier, because content is now feeding from one video to another, because obviously that can't happen when there was only 2 or 3 videos, because there's nothing to feed off of each other. So if you can think of a spider's web with a core subject, different branches, which are kind of like your playlists, and then as you're putting videos into each of those playlists, if you can then sort of laterally or horizontally connect those videos with topics that can complement them, using the cards or the end screens, what you're then doing is driving traffic instead of going into your channel and out through this kind of tree hierarchy type system. You're pushing content and viewers and cross-pollination across your videos, and that's when the traction starts to get a little bit more busier. And you can see, literally, let me get rid of that pop-up, you can see that, you know, it was starting with the odd video here, 1 or 2 colors here, 1 or 2 colors, and now we've got like 5 or 6 videos that are all playing back to back with each other. And so you can see that the momentum is picking up on my channel. It's still just going slower than I need to be. So patience is the key word here. Okay, right, so as a number of subscribers, let me just see if I can, it's probably easier to go back to the other screen, to be honest with you. There we go. So as we look at the subscribers here, let me just change this and see if we can bring it up bigger for you. Subscribers by video. Okay, so this is quite important as well. It's interesting to know which videos are actually generating traffic, which are generating watch time, and which are generating subscribers. And you'd think actually that would be one of the same thing, and it's not. You'll be surprised when you actually start getting content on your channel and things are starting to happen. You'll find that one video will actually not necessarily do great in watch time, but it will generate you subscribers, like on this particular video here, which was my WordPress costs. I gained 3 subscribers on that particular video, whereby others, which are more like kind of tutorials, you know, have gained me watch time hours. So it's kind of really interesting. Well, I think so anyway, to see how things are going as you are looking. Now, this is my last 90 days. You can see here that this is the performance of my actual videos. Now you're thinking to yourself, well, this is only 1 subscriber here, 1 here, 1 here. How can you have 162 people? Don't forget, at the moment, YouTube is a business. And because it's a business, what it wants to do is support channels that are earning it money and so forth. So it often puts a lot more weight and traction behind the monetized channels. So therefore, my channel growth is 100% pretty much on my back, as it were, for me to bring outside traffic to my channel. And that is how my channel is actually growing at the moment. So it's through my networking online, it's through my social media posts, it's from people that I'm talking to on Zoom conversations and saying, oh, by the way, could you just go and subscribe and engage with my channel? So I'm growing my channel subscribers manually at the moment, because I am a small business. Sorry, a small channel, and I don't have any weight or pulling power within YouTube's eyes, because I'm not earning it any money at the moment. However, you know, it's nice to know that whatever it is that I'm doing from time to time is working, and naturally people that are coming to my channel, finding my content, are also subscribing, which is pretty much the aim of the game, to be honest with you. Okay, so that's another little statistic metric, whatever you want to call it, that you need to keep an eye on. So next one we're going to look at is the watch time hours. Let me see if I can bring that up in this particular screen so we don't have to change again. Now, I think this one to me is like, this is the one that's really interesting to me, because you can literally see the effort that was going in to my channel right for that first 5 or 6 weeks. And this really does kind of bring home to you just how much effort you have to do as a small business to kind of get anywhere on YouTube, because obviously with 1 or 2 videos I'm not going to have a lot of anything to watch, which makes sense. And so, you know, you've got like this this is like 6-7 weeks in to my channel of, you know, effort of 2 or 3 videos a week trying to get traction, and 6 weeks and it still haven't kind of registering. And then you can see like there's an odd video, and then there's little bumps in the road, and then it starts to get a lot more crazier and a lot more busier. And then some of these videos are obviously doing a lot better, but there is something now going on all the time on my channel, regardless of whether I've put a video out. Now, if we can sort of fast forward and imagine what this would be doing for me in a year from now, then obviously I'd have had a year's worth of content with roughly 3 videos a week. That's going to be like 150 videos instead of like the odd 40-ish that I'm on at the moment. So that's 150 videos bringing traction to my, like acting like fishing hooks and bait in the sea of YouTube, waiting for people to go and search and do or be suggested videos and content because of what people are looking at. So you really do have to kind of sort of think to yourself deeply. Just because you put a video out there doesn't mean to say you're suddenly going to blow up all over YouTube. What you do need to do is bear in mind that this is a marathon, not a sprint, and actually your channel needs to support itself and its own content, and that will bring you traction. And so you can see there that my watch time hours are still really minute. I mean, I really need a lot of these to be like kind of in this bracket area all the time now, but you know, it's still quite early days. I still am only just getting to the end of my first 4 months, and if you really think about it, I would say the first 2 months of that is an absolute waste of time anyway, because I've had to go through that to actually start building traction to begin with. Now, velocity is the only other thing that I've kind of briefly mentioned on that you do need to look at, but for me this is a slightly different ball game, because I took a decision quite early on, as you can tell, to go live with my videos as opposed to doing the pre-edited sort of filming, post-production and all that kind of jazz. And the reason for that is because first of all, you can't fake your knowledge. You either know your thing or you don't. Yes, there's a couple of blips that happen, but I think that adds my personality, the fact that I'm brave enough to go and put myself out there in this manner. And I think that live attitude and tactic is what is actually bringing my clients and my leads to me at the moment. But having said that, when you're looking at the velocity, now this is quite hard for me to do because the YouTube algorithm supports uploaded videos a lot more than it does live at the moment. So let me just go back to my main dashboard and see if I can bring up the statistic on here. Now, when you are doing this, let me remember how to get into it. 2 seconds. What there is it's on my videos, isn't it? Hang on. Let me see if I can change this. Sorry, 1 second, guys. Oh, no, it's all gone wrong. See, this is one of the challenges that happens when you go live. Bear with me just a second while I launch my browser again. Okay, so whilst that's just coming back up, basically there is a kind of a grey path that your YouTube channel in your statistics, when you look at the velocity, will show you what your channel is doing on an average performance across all your videos. And it has kind of like this, think of it as like a cloud. It kind of has this grey cloud sort of as in like your top average and your bottom average and that sort of thing. And then when you publish a video, it will put this blue line across your velocity screen to show where that particular video is performing in comparison to the average on your channel. And that's what I was trying to bring up when I just completely made a cock up there. Okay, so hopefully let me just have a look, see if I can show this to you now. That was only just gone and that wasn't uploaded. Let me go back. Let's see if I can find one from a few ages ago. Let me go to my video. So basically the velocity works on the uploads, not the live videos. So let me go down to one that I did a long time ago and see if we can look at those metrics. Let me see if I can come up. There we go. Right. Okay. So this grey line, forget the blue one for a second, but the grey line, or this grey blurb going across here, this is the velocity of how my uploaded videos perform across my channel. So obviously the top end of the grey is my upper average, and then obviously the bottom of the grey is my lower average. So in the first 60 days of launching a video, 10 days, you know, it's typically between 11 and 20. So in this particular video's case, I was doing better. And now this particular video is floating through the middle of my cloud, as it were. And so it's not doing too bad, even after 60 days, okay? I'll come back down to the retention in a second, because that's what I couldn't find earlier on when I was looking for it for you guys. So that's basically your velocity. So if you go into any particular video that you have uploaded and you look at your views, and then you see this grey sort of cloud, as it were, going across your statistics, that's basically what the velocity of your channel is versus that particular video's performance. And that's another one to keep an eye on, especially in the first maybe 2 days, 3 days, because as you can see with this one, it suddenly had a really big rush, which would make me think actually this is a really in-demand topic right now, and therefore that is something that you might want to double up on and sort of ride that wave, as it were. Now, just real quickly, as I've got it on screen here, video audience retention. This obviously in the first sort of 1 minute 26 seconds isn't doing too bad, and then it kind of averages out, and it does drop off a little bit. Now that was a particularly long video. Again, this video retention is better shown for videos that you have uploaded, I believe. Let me just go in. So yeah, again, starts off quite well and they drop. So as you can see, that video there is at 17.9%, and I said to you I need to aim for 40%. So a lot of this is because my videos at the beginning were a little bit here, there and everywhere. I hadn't quite got my formula down and that kind of thing, but it does give you an idea of where you need to be. So I'm pretty sure it was Sunny, whose link I will put down to her channel below, but essentially I'm sure she said you need to aim for 40%. So that just kind of brings that one in. And I'll just purely for curiosity reasons now, while I'm going on to one of my live videos, let's look at one I've just probably finished optimizing. Analytics on this video. Bear with me just 1 second while it does. And there you go. So you can see there that a live video doesn't have this grey bar, but it can still tell you quite well how it's going with regards to the velocity. You can get an idea once you do this on a regular basis, you'll get a feel for it. And this one here is a 20%. So I'm kind of going in the right direction with a lot of my content. I've still got work to do, but it's early days. Okay, so before we kind of bring this to a conclusion, we can't see your screen, only you. Oh, Sonia, oh, thank you for letting me know. This is one of those, so sorry guys, there we go. This is one of those reasons it threw me out with regards to my little, what was it called? Firefox screen closing there. So basically, let me just really quickly just bring this back on screen for you. This is one of the perils that happens for when you go live, but again, this kind of adds to personality. You kind of show that I'm putting myself out there to do this. So basically here in the video specifically is the audience retention, which is why it's saying 20%. There's my video views, and if I come back out and go into one of my uploaded videos, let me just come back to my uploaded videos, and I come down here and I grab one of those so I can go into behind the scenes. Is it going to work? Come on, YouTube. There we go. And I go to its analytics. There we go. Now that's probably not a good one, because you can see that the grey bar down the bottom is my channel average. Actually, it is a good one, just thinking about it, because this has got the blue line here is showing how well that this particular video is performing, which is well above my average, which is this tiny grey line down the bottom. So you probably won't see that. That, however, is actually a really good performing video. Let me just come out and pick you a different one, just so that I can show you that grey cloud of what I was talking about just a minute ago. Let me bring this video back up. This was the one I was talking about. There we go. So you can see the grey cloud quite nicely now. So the grey cloud is essentially my video's velocity for my channel, or my average. My upper and lower is how the grey line is produced basically in the first 60 days. And then the blue line is basically representing this specific video on its performance. So there you go. Right, so that kind of brings me back to basically where we're at today. I hope that makes sense. There was a couple of little hiccups there, but there was a lot of information that I had to give, and obviously I am doing this live, so please bear with me. Sometimes, you know, life happens. But the thing that you need to take away from here is that you need to know your number of impressions, because is your videos getting out there and getting presented to people, at which point keeping one eye on the game there will kind of give you an indication of how you are doing. The next one is your click-through rate. I'm going to go with that average that Nick Nimmin suggested, which is that you should be aiming for at least 2 to 10%. Anything better than that is fantastic. Obviously, the lower end is poor, and therefore you need to do things to up your game, which is probably to improve your thumbnails. The third thing was to look at your video retention. So go into the actual video itself and look at how that video retention is doing. It will give you a percentage mark. That percentage you really need to aim for on every video is to be over 40%. If it's less than 40%, you've got work to do to basically up your game, as do I at the moment. Number of views obviously shows people how well your channel is doing, as well as the video itself. So keep an eye on that one. And obviously, is the video actually generating subscribers? If it is, and that is your goal, then maybe you need to rinse and repeat a topic to complement that video and double up. Then you're obviously looking at your watch time hours and the velocity that I've just mentioned there. And that, my dears, is my 4-month anniversary review of my YouTube channel, showing you quite clearly that despite my sincere efforts in those first 6 to 8 weeks, nothing really happened on my channel. And it's only once I started to get to sort of 20, 25-ish videos that the videos themselves started to feed people around my channel, cross-pollinating from one content to another. And that's when my videos have started to build traction. So I will give it about another 3 months before I do another analytical review, because this is kind of a nice little audit for me to be able to dive in behind the scenes and see how I have progressed. And I'm sure in a couple of years from time, I will come back and cringe at my kind of presenting style and what it is that I'm talking about. But for now, I'm on quite a journey. I'm absolutely loving it. YouTube is opening lots and lots of doors and platforms for me. And I think everybody on the planet should be endorsing video content marketing at some way or another within their businesses, sort of marketing efforts, because it does so much more for you than writing just a blog article or putting out an image. So that's it. I've got 2 more comments, probably Sonia. Yay, Sonia, thank you. She just gives me a thumbs up. I've got there. Thank you very much indeed. And it is being very real. I think that's what it's all about. Thank you very much indeed for your support, Sonia, during today's video. And that's it for me today. I'm just going to play you my outro, and I'll see you on the next video in a couple of days' time.